Wife Material Podcast. Whatever you wear matters. Alright, so what you wear matters is the idea, right? So, you know, as a single lady, as not a single lady, whether you're married or not, what you wear does matter. What you wear represents you. What you wear tells people things about you. But it's funny, right? Most females will judge a guy based off of what he's wearing, but hate the idea of guys judging them based off of what they're wearing. Just because I'm dressed like this doesn't mean. Yes, it does. Because when I dress like a bum doesn't mean I'm a bum, right? When I dress like I'm broke doesn't mean I'm broke. Same thing as if I dress like I'm rich doesn't mean I'm rich, and the list goes on, right? Just because I dress like a cop doesn't mean I'm a cop, right? That's ignorance, right? It's one thing to be like, okay, I didn't know that dressing like this would be an issue, because I've seen plenty of other females dress like this, and I thought this was, acceptable. And that's okay if you didn't know no better, right? If you didn't know that it's like, oh, okay, so this is not that acceptable, or it's not acceptable if I do it, right? Like yoga pants, typically it's more popular, or I should say more preferred, when it's on a female that's in a better shape, or at least a smaller shape. Not necessarily better on a bigger chick, but hey, to each their own. There are guys who do like big girls, but that's for a different conversation. The point is that what you wear does matter, because if you're since this is mainly about females, if you're dressed like a crackhead, don't be surprised if I treat you as like one. Don't be surprised if I don't look your way, if I ignore you, if I try to distance myself from you, right? If you look like a zombie, don't be surprised I don't want you, chasing me, right? If you look like a serial killer, well, definitely leave me alone, right? If you look crazy. So that's the thing, it's like what you wear is a reflection of the perception you want people to have of you. You want people to perceive you as a nice person, then you should dress nice. You want people to perceive you as a piece of shit, then dress like a piece of shit. Clothes have purpose, clothes have meanings, right? A raincoat has a purpose. You wear the raincoat because it's raining, right? So if you wear a bikini, it's more likely because you're going to somewhere where that attire is necessary. It makes no sense to go to somebody's wedding in a bikini, or go to work at your office, at your office job in a bikini, right? That's not appropriate attire, and you shouldn't be surprised if you get certain looks. Same thing as wearing lingerie out, as clothing. These are small little basic details. It's just common courtesy, right? There's the right place for everything, right? Right place and wrong place. And all we're saying, when guys point out that a female is wearing something that looks a certain type of way, is because that is what that appearance is for. That's what that look is for. That's what that look looks like, right? If you dress like a teacher, then you look like a teacher, right? If you dress like a clown, you look like a clown. Can't be surprised if people treat you a certain way based off of the way you look, because it's like, well, your appearance is giving a certain idea. Just like if you look at a dog, well, you're going to treat the dog like it's a dog, right? If you're going to treat a cat like it's a cat, a tiger like it's a tiger, shark like it's a shark, because of what it looks like. We have eyes for a reason. The problem we have is the ignorance of wanting to redefine things. Like, hey, I can wear lingerie as regular casual wear at work. because of whatever bullshit you create. And it's like, well, that's not how that works. One, society as a whole has to agree with that. It'd be different if everybody in society is like, yeah, go ahead, wear lingerie to work. That's not a problem. Then that'd be different if the entirety of society was okay with it, right? Because that's the thing, we live in a society, so the majority rules. So if the majority of people say that it's okay, then it's okay. The problem is that the majority says the opposite, which is certain attire is not appropriate. And instead of adhering to it, instead of respecting it, just people who want to go against it. Which ironically is a very childish mentality. Very, very childish. That's the kind of shit you expect a 5-year-old to do. To be like, I'm not gonna wear what everybody else is wearing. I'm not gonna do what people tell me to do. I do what I want to do. I do what I want to do. That's a childish mentality. Being selfish, doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That's not an adult behavior. Especially not in a society. Adults understand that, okay, the way the society works is that if we work together, we agree on things. That's how society works. Society doesn't work when everybody's disagreeing on stuff. And people want to do whatever they want. It's like, that's not how that works. Because if that's how it works, then we shouldn't have laws. We shouldn't have females out here complaining about, sexual assault and other crimes committed against them, right? They shouldn't be complaining at all because everybody's free to do whatever they want, right? So that means everything that's ever bad happened to you, it's okay because, everybody is free to do what they want. See how stupid that sounds? Because it is stupid. Right? You can't complain about bad things happening to you and then be in the same sentence, you talking about everybody should have freedom, everybody should be able to do what they want to do, and no one should be judging and blah blah. Yeah, don't judge your rapist. Don't judge the person who's robbing you, who's murdering you. Don't judge them. People who hate you, don't judge them. Right? See how that doesn't work? How that doesn't make sense? It's like you're supposed to judge. Because that's how you know the difference between right and wrong. We all know what's wrong. We all know what's right. And we all supposed to lean towards right and encourage people to focus on what's right. Because what's right is what matters, right? What's right is good and beneficial. Compromises have to be made, but that's that. But anyway, that's just a little bit of the political and social aspect of what you wear. But if you're a wife, you gotta remember that there's times you're going to need to dress like a mother. There's going to be times where you're going to need to dress like a wife. And that's different from dressing sexual. Sexual, obviously, is for a different situation. So dressing like wife doesn't mean dressing sexy. It's more of dressing elegant, more of dressing appropriately, dressing in a way that does get you attention, does garner, get attention, respect, and that comes with being modest. If you got a body, you got a body, obviously, right? Nothing wrong with having a body. Just make sure you present it in a respectful, mature type of way, especially if you're dressing like a wife with your husband, right? So you're out and about, like you go to a restaurant and whatnot. It doesn't make sense to dress to wear something that you would wear to a club, right? Or on a street corner waiting for some guy to pick you up, obviously, right? You're definitely not going to go to an event or a fancy restaurant in a bikini, right? So you gotta dress for the occasion. And there's certain situations where you need to dress a certain way, like just like a mother when you're going to school to meet your kids, teachers and stuff. Just like a mother when you're spending time with your kids. Just like a wife when you're spending time with your husband, doing adult-related activities. And then casual, there's downtime where you don't have to get dressed up and do much. You don't want to, wear the wrong thing at the wrong time, and that's the importance. It's very important to understand how powerful clothing can be, right? There's this old saying, men make the clothes, clothes don't make the man. But, however, clothes does make the man look good, right? Clothes does make the man look respectable, right? And the same goes for a female. There's times where you want respect, and the way you get that is through, first off, is what you're wearing, right? Because like I said, if you're dressed like a clown, don't be surprised you get treated like one. Don't be surprised that people make jokes about you. Like, you're dressed like a clown. Are you really surprised? If you were dressed like a vampire, you don't expect people to treat you like a vampire and make vampire, references, like Twilight or something. Like, it's just common sense. But like I said, if you look a certain way, you're going to be presented that way. Just like if you look like a female, somebody's going to address you as a female. If you look like a guy, you're going to be addressed as a guy. That's just how it works. This is how we get to interact with the world, right? This is how you know they're like, oh, that's a tiger over there. Yeah, it looks like a tiger, acts like a tiger. I'm going to avoid the tiger because it might act like a tiger if it gets really close to me, and I don't want it acting like a tiger on me, right? It's a predator, and I don't want to be a prey, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to just dealing with anybody in general, like a guy or a female. If somebody looks like they will rob you, they're more likely will rob you. If they look like they will lie to you, they're more likely going to lie to you. And the list goes on. It's like, that's why it's important to pay attention to what you look like, how you act like, and the same goes for everybody around you, right? Judging is very important. It's a survival trait. It's a skill. It's an instinct, right? It's something that's important. So, just like how you dress is important. You'd be surprised how many problems you can solve just based off of what you dress. You'd be surprised how much easier your life is based off of how you dress. That's why if you're dressed a certain type of way and you're having a lot of issues because you're getting a lot of unwanted attention, remember, you're the one who don't want the attention. So stop wearing that which gets you the negative attention you don't want. If you want positive attention, wear positive clothes. You want negative attention, keep wearing the negative clothes. You're gonna get what you asked for, and stop that ignorance of like, just because I'm dressed like this doesn't mean I asked for it. Yes, it is. That's literally what that outfit's for. That outfit is for that. It's for attention, and it's for specific attention, and that's why you get it. This whole ignorance of like, no, just because I dress this way does not mean I want. You dress that way, that's what you get. You get that treatment based off of what you wear. If you dress like a cop, you will be treated as one. It's not rocket science to understand that. It's just willful ignorance, as they say. Willful ignorance. You are choosing to do something that you know for a fact is going to get you a certain reaction, but you want to justify it because you want to do what you want to do, even though what you're doing is unacceptable, right? It's socially not accepted, right? We don't agree that it's okay for you to dress a certain type of way, right? The irony is that a lot of stuff that women wear, guys like it. You know why? Because one, we're the ones who created it in the first place. It's always funny how people want to complain about what they're wearing and try to act like what they're wearing is their decisions. Like, no, it's not your decision. You were raised and convinced by society, which includes men, right? Includes guys. So guys influence. So what you're wearing is influenced by guys. And it's literally made by guys. Guys invented a lot of the outfits that exist in this world. It was literally a guy who invented the thong. So if you're wearing a thong, thank a guy for that, because it wasn't a female's idea to wear a thong. Ironically, granny panties, if I'm right, was a female idea. Think about that. More material, more cloth covering the body was a female's idea. It was a guy's idea for a female to wear less material, aka a thong. And from right, he was a gay guy, but still, he's a guy, he has a penis, that's the whole point. Doesn't matter if he likes guys. The point is, he still made women clothing, right? He still made stuff for women to wear, and thong was one of those things. So, the point is, a guy was involved in thongs being made. So if you wear thongs, it's because a guy. And from right, bras were created by men. It was men's idea, or a man's idea for the bra, and the list goes on. I mean, even the idea of fabric, material to make clothes in the first place, came through man. Just the idea of wearing clothing or wearing animal skin and stuff like that as a form of protection clearly was a guy's idea. One, because you had to kill an animal in order to get the skin, right? Get the fur. So clearly it was a guy's idea. They killed the animal, they skinned the animal so that they can eat the meat, but instead of letting the fur go to waste, right, the skin to go to waste, they decided to dry it up and turn it into protection. I wouldn't be surprised they just so happened to let it dry, or it just dried one day and suddenly started raining, and they're like, I'm getting wet. There's no trees around. There's no cave around. It's like, oh, there's this thing. And they picked it up, some dry lion skin or something, and then realized, oh, this protects me from the rain. And then just made that a normal thing. You don't know. Because, I mean, why would a female just be out in a lion-infested area, right, by herself, and then end up in the rain, and then end up covering herself with, lion skin? That doesn't sound like something a female would do. I mean, historically anyway. Modern day females will probably do that, but that's not something that I've seen historically. The point is that more likely it was a guy's idea. More likely. I mean, if anything, it was more likely a guy's idea to do that to cover and protect females' bodies from the harshness of extreme cold and extreme heat, because guys were obviously built bigger, so they're able to handle more of the tough terrain and tough weathers. So that wouldn't be a surprise. Okay. Everybody keeps trying to offer me thousands of dollars for my Facebook group. I know it has 22,000 members, but still, it's my group. The answer is no. Shit, it'll probably reach 100,000 members someday. Anyway, so dressing like a mother is important, right? Like I said. So how do you dress like a mother? Well, one, you're obviously you're covered up to a certain degree. Depending on the situation, you could be wearing a dress, right? Obviously, it's can't be skin tight. Has to be kind of loose. I'll say sundress is decent. It's a sundress will work. Something of that nature. You could do the whole shirt and jeans thing. Modern women wearing jeans type stuff. Again, try to avoid it being tight. The idea is just basically not to just casual will essentially be the whole wearing tight clothing, tight jeans, leggings, yoga pants and stuff like that. Like that would be classified as casual. That stuff is not motherly. That's not mother attire. Typically dresses. Form flattering, not form fitting. There's a difference. Form flattering as opposed to form fitting. Form fitting is obviously like a gown, something a little too tight around the body, so it shows off the curves. The idea is to show less curves but still show your feminine shape. So still show that you have curves, but not too vivid, too obvious. Someone has to be staring at you for a long period of time to notice all your curves, right? So that's the whole idea of wearing something that's flattering as opposed to something that's fitting. Dressing like a wife, that would be something more form-fitting, like a gown, like a nice black, tube dress. But of course, you want to have what is it called? What's it called? Not lace, the straps. There you go, straps. Just to make sure the ladies stay in place. That way they don't come out, and surprise everybody. Again, remember, we're trying to be elegant. We're trying to be ladylike. You definitely are trying to show a good amount of your curves for the but not too much, obviously, right? That's the thing. You're trying to. Okay, so it's form-fitting to show off your body, your shape, but without showing skin. So the idea is to show very little skin, but show a lot of your shape. So a very less revealing, form-fitting outfit would be a wife attire. Just like your husband would be wearing a nice, fitting suit, a suit that fits him, that's not too loose, that's not too tight, right? It fits him just nice, so that way he has a nice shape, a nice form. He looks strong, masculine, elegant, sophisticated, right? Manly, all that good qualities, right? Respectable, right? Classy. That's the other thing. So the idea is to be classy. The idea is when a guy wears a suit is to show a form, show manliness and power, but at the same time with some dignity. Same thing goes for a female. That's why you can't be wearing something that's just your tits hanging out, your ass hanging out. Like, nothing wrong with wearing something a little tight, a little form-fitting, so that way it shows you're clearly a woman with a hourglass figure tends to be popular, but not revealing, right? Leave room for leave things to the imagination is what I'm trying to say, right? Plus, besides the goods, right? What your mama gave you is for your man, not for the world. Casual, like I said, that's probably where you're gonna wear whatever you want to wear, tight, revealing, whatever, right? Or just baggy and less wifey and less sexual. So that's where the casual category comes in. Then you have the sexual category, obviously. Well, we know what that is mainly about. It's less is more, but still there has to be something there just to add to the ambiance, add to the appearance. It looks better because when your husband sees you naked once, right, and he's seen you naked a million times, as they say. So you want to wear stuff that adds stuff, right? Different color lingerie, right? Different patterns. These you'd be surprised. These little details do matter, because you might think, oh, I'll just keep wearing the same lingerie or the same bra and panties, and and that's enough. Like I said, you'd be surprised. Sometimes even mix matching the colors, mix matching, the materials, right? You might want to combine lace with a silk or something similar to that, right? You might want to incorporate some fur, right? Some feathers, whatever, right? Whatever floats the boat. Cosplay, or costumes, dressing like a sexy nurse or maid or something like that. That's, those are things as well. Schoolgirl outfit and stuff like that. Those tend to be popular. So you get the idea. You want to You want to switch it up and spice it up, just to keep the guy interested, because guys do get bored of the same thing over and over again for after a while. So you want to change it up once in a while. You might want to incorporate wigs of different colors, different hairstyles, different patterns, like French braids, or micro braids, or like curly hair or straight hair, blonde, brunette, that kind of stuff. So like you might want to incorporate that as well. I mean, if that's y'all thing, if that's how y'all roll. Especially as a wife, you definitely want to keep him happy, right? Keep him focused and loyal, right? And that's the thing. There's small little things you can do to keep your husband loyal. Obviously, ideally, you want your husband to be loyal by default, right? But what I'm trying to say is, like, you should put in effort to make sure he is loyal. That it's easy for him to stay loyal, right? You got to give him reason to be loyal. If you're barely giving him anything, if you know what I mean, don't be surprised he doesn't end up being loyal, because your lack of activity, your lack of influence, right? Your lack of interaction is going to make him feel unappreciated, to make him feel that you're not loyal to him, right? That you don't appreciate him. And if you don't appreciate him, some other chick will, right? So always remember that you got to make sure that when you get your man, you keep him, right? Sometimes people forget that the idea of relationship is not a partnership, it's not equality, none of this nonsense. It's a position. You're it's a position. It's not that different from any job. It's a position. You're being allowed to be in that position, which means you have to first obviously earn the position, and secondarily you have to maintain it. You cannot get lazy at this job, right? However way you want to call it, relationship, whatever you want to call it, marriage, right? And then expect to still be in that said marriage, in that said relationship, in that said job. You still got to put in work, right? You still got. That's why men and women agree to be together, because they're supposed to work together to do things. So if the guy is doing all the stuff he's supposed to do, which is, fixing problems, solving problems, right? Providing money, providing, shelter, food, this, that, their resources, those types of things. If he's doing his part, you got to do your part. You can't stop doing your part, be lazy on your end, and still expect a great relationship. It's not a great relationship if you're not doing your part, right? Because females nowadays be talking about partnership, but they don't even act like a partner, let alone act like a lover, act like a friend, act like his girl, like his significant other, his one true love, his one and only, his. Most females nowadays are complaining about the idea of, like, oh, I don't belong to him. Yes, you do. When you chose him to be yours, and you chose to be his. It makes no sense for you to choose him, be like, okay, I want to be in a relationship with you. He's like, okay, I agree with it. And then you're like, oh, well, I'm going to act like you're not my man. I'm going to act like you're not important, that you're disposable, replaceable, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to act like you're just some stranger that just so happens to live in the same house as me. And, like, no, that makes no sense to act like that, to act the way you act before y'all even get in a relationship. When you get in a relationship, y'all become one. It's both of y'all together, symbiotic. You bring stuff to the table, he brings stuff to the table, and y'all share these things that y'all bring to the table. So that way y'all benefit each other, like a symbiotic relationship, like the way it's supposed to be. What you don't do is try to act single while being in a relationship, trying to act single while you're married. Now, a lot of times in the red pill community, you hear stuff about like, you know, guys, especially high value guys, they have options and they can exercise the options, and the woman has to be sexually loyal, but the guy doesn't necessarily have to be. And it's like, yeah, that is true to a certain degree because men and women are different. But at the same time, I don't go around, me personally, I don't go around and promoting the idea of like, because we are different, because the way guys perceive sex is different than females perceive sex. That it's like, yeah, guys, go out there, even though you have a wife, go out there and exercise your options. Like, no. I just lost track of what I was saying. Yeah, it's just we need to really do better when it comes to relationships. Oh yeah, I was saying the whole, guys, not exercising their options when they're in a relationship, unless your wife is okay with it, then to each their own. It's just it's one thing to point out that that is a thing that most high value guys have options, and it's understandable they don't limit themselves because they have the options, right? Because they have all these options that they earned, mind you. They earned these options. They didn't always have these options. They became high value, and now they earned it. Now they have the options. Women always had the options since they were born. They always had the options to have sex whenever they felt like it, right? So, and since women are the ones who decide who does and does not get laid, the whole like, oh, men cheating is like, no. Women are the only ones that cheat. They're the ones who decide who does and doesn't have sex. Which means if a married man has sex with a woman that's not his wife, that just means that a woman, right, a female, allowed him to have sex, and she more likely knew that he was married, right? That's a thing. But anyway, that's for a different topic. I'm just saying this, like, I'm not encouraging the idea of stepping out. I'm the one where it's like, if you want to be with other women, then you're better off being single, or have a harem, or have your wife agree to it, right? If that's what you really, really want, then you need to make sure that you do it the right way, right? Don't do it behind nobody's back and this, that, right? That's what I'm saying. Be upfront with it. Be about it. But I prefer I prefer the situation where husband and wife, loyalty and all that stuff. Ideally I prefer that scenario, which is why it's important that you do your best to try to maintain that. The reason I was even mentioning the whole idea of like sex with different women, right, is the whole variety factor. So as long as you keep providing him variety from you bring something different every time that you're interacting with your husband, that will help keep him loyal. So I think I'll make a podcast about that, about how to keep him loyal and this, that, and the third. Right now, this is about how you dress, right? Even when it comes to a bikini, and let's talk about that, right? Even when it comes to a bikini, there is such thing as casual bikini and sexual bikini, right? Bikini for attention and bikini for swimming, right? I'm not against bikinis, right? String bikini and stuff like that. I'm a fan. Sorry. I'm a fan, but I mean, there is limits, especially if there's kids around, if there's a whole bunch of other dudes, and I'm in a relationship with you. I definitely don't want you, parading around in a string bikini, unless I'm okay with it at the time. I'm just saying, it's like, if I'm not okay with it, I would like the respect of you willing to be modest, you willing to, cover up as much, wear a little extra, or wear a different bikini, so that way you're revealing less, and it makes me happy to know that you care, about what I think, about what I feel, if we're going to talk about feelings. Because one of the things I see a lot of times that happens in, online, is a lot of females complain about the idea of their man telling them what to wear or not to wear, having an immediate problem with their husband or boyfriend suggesting that they don't wear a certain attire at a certain time. But it's like, if you want to wear whatever you want to wear, then you're supposed to be single and independent, so you can singly make all the decisions in your life. But when you get in a relationship, it's not a single thing. Relationships are not for single people. Relationships are for people who want to be a couple. And couples work as a team. Teams, right, tend to follow directions. Teams tend to work within rules. Teams tend to mutually agree on things. You can't have one team member saying one thing and everybody else saying another thing. That's going to create a divide. That's going to create issues. A team is successful when you're united, not when you're divided, right? United we stand, divided we fall. So a relationship falls apart when you're divided, when you're acting as ops, acting as enemies and opponents instead of acting as team members. So if your husband says he doesn't want you wearing something because of whatever reasons he has, you should respect it. Same as if you tell him you don't like him wearing a certain thing because it creates a scenario that you don't like, then he's supposed to respect it. You know what I mean? Because the irony is, a lot of times females love telling guys, what to do when it comes to like their outfits or even to the way they talk or behave, because they want the guy to be a certain way. It's like, we okay. God damn it, I hate distractions. Because now I'm losing train of thought. The relationships are about teamwork. It's about, everybody agreeing on the same thing, or at least agreeing to follow one person's direction, right? Every team has a team leader. So in a relationship, there's a team leader, right? There's a relationship leader. There's somebody who's in charge of the relationship, which is usually the guy, because he's the one that has the resources. He's the one that's, was picked by the female for his very valuable attributes, things that he worked hard to have and obtain, and so he gets to choose. If he has a mansion, right? Mansion, cars, boats, right? Tons of money, clout, right? Respect, network. These are all things he worked hard for and obtained. So of course he is in charge. He's the leader. He has all these resources, and if you want to benefit from these resources, then it would have to be under his decision making. Right? It's going to be under his leadership. So, if obviously, if you listen to the podcast, it's because you want to be a wife. You want to be somebody's teammate, right? You want to be somebody's second in command. You want to be somebody's support system, right? You want to support somebody in the things they do, the things they're achieving. You want to be part of their life. That's the thing about, agreeing to be somebody's wife, is that you're agreeing to be part of their life. You're agreeing to spend the rest of that person's life, whatever life they have. And if they have a life of a billionaire, then you're going to be living that life with them. You agree to live the life of the wife of a billionaire, right? You're going to be there for the journey. You're there to be a witness to their life, to their decisions, to their ups and downs. That's what you're there for. You're there to assist them in everything that they want to do in their life. Because if you just want to be selfish and just do what you want to do, then you should be single. That's the whole point. You have that option. You're not forced to, be in a relationship, right? You don't have to be in a relationship. But if you choose to be in a relationship, you choose to be married, you choose to be a wife, you got to do those things. You got to do what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do your wifely duties. You're supposed to do your girlfriend duties. You're supposed to do your job when you apply for a job and get a job. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. That's the whole point. You agreed to be part of that thing, right? That organization, that relationship. So you're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. Because for all that, you're better off. Then you should just be single, right? You should be unemployed, right? You should be doing something else other than wasting somebody else's valuable time. Because when a guy's looking for a wife, he's looking for a wife. Someone to be there as his second in command, right? Somebody to be there as his co-pilot, his navigator, right? His passenger, his life partner, right? His support system, his assistant, You're there for them. Of course, they benefit you as well. Of course, they're there for you, but the main thing is that this, the man, he went through a lot of trouble to get to the point in his life, and he wants something that makes sense for that. He worked hard to be who he is and to live the life that he lives, and he's going to want somebody to share it with, and he's going to want somebody to appreciate what he has achieved and to support him in what he has achieved and what he's going to do, going further, forward in life. He doesn't need somebody to be a nagger, somebody to be a naysayer, somebody to be a liability, a problem, somebody trying to tell him what to do when he's been working hard to get to the point where no one should be telling him what to do. He should be the one in charge, not someone else acting like they're in charge, when he's the one who built what he built. He built an empire, right? A kingdom or a life for himself. He's supposed to be in charge. It makes no sense for him to work that hard to build a life for himself, and then somebody else just walks on in and be like, okay, I'm in charge now. That makes no sense. You ladies understand that idea. You understand that if you built something, you would hate it if somebody came in and just took it over. You build a company and somebody comes in like, okay, I'm the boss now. Like, you wouldn't like that. So don't do that to a guy, right? Don't do that to your husband. Agree to be married to him, but then try to run the relationship, try to take over his life and control it and dictate how it should be, when that's not your job, that's not your role, right? Now, I did say in other podcasts, that it's important for you to have skills, bring to the table, for you to, make sure you're responsible for making sure that the family eats healthy and this and that. It's like, yeah, because these are responsibilities. If the husband, your husband decides that, we're not going to eat healthy, we're going to eat unhealthy. I mean, I don't agree with the idea, but it is his family, right? It is his decision ultimately, so you're going to have to support him on that. You could disagree, of course. You could, try to reason with him and convince him otherwise to eat healthy instead. But if he's, very adamant about, eating burgers and stuff like that, and eating junk food, then that's how it's going to be. That's the end of the podcast.